Mom, look at me first. Mira's voice reached me from the living room, and without taking my eyes off my laptop, I answered, "Just a minute, sweetheart." A few minutes passed before I finally looked up. Mira was already playing by herself, and the drawing she wanted to show me was still lying quietly on the floor. My laptop was still filled with articles about passive income, investing, and earning money while sleeping. The more I kept reading, the heavier I quietly felt. I kept telling myself that all of this was for my family's future. But one day I found myself wondering when we were actually supposed to enjoy the future I was working so hard to build. My name is Clara. I spent so much time chasing a safer life that I almost missed the life quietly unfolding inside my own home. Every morning followed the same routine as I prepared breakfast, helped Mira get ready, and packed Armand's lunch before they left. Once the house was quiet, I opened my laptop and focused on work while searching for new ways to earn extra income. The more I watched videos about investing and passive income, the more I felt I should be doing even more. Hours passed before I noticed the laundry, the plants, and the rest of the day had quietly been left waiting. Even when Armand and Mira laughed together, my attention kept drifting back to the screen. After everyone was asleep, I opened my laptop again, convincing myself it was all for the family. Before bed, I saw my reflection on the dark screen and wondered if I had truly been present at home or only physically there. A few days later, I realized my routine had become the same: everyday work in the morning, housework in the afternoon, and my laptop again every night. I stopped measuring my days by money and started measuring them by the hours that quietly disappeared. Watching others build multiple income streams made me feel like I could never afford to slow down. The more I chased financial security, the harder it became to truly relax with my family. One afternoon, as I reached for my phone, Mira quietly asked, "Mom, are you still looking at your phone?" Looking back, I saw my income was growing, but so was my exhaustion, even on days I barely worked. I finally realized it wasn't my job wearing me out. It was the constant pressure to always stay productive. Since that day, I started paying closer attention to myself. It wasn't about how much money I had managed to earn, but about what had quietly begun to disappear from my life. I noticed one small habit I had never questioned. Whenever Mira asked me to play, my answer was almost always, "Just a minute." What saddened me was that those just a minutes almost never stayed that short. Sometimes Mira quietly ended up playing on her own without asking me again. One evening, Armand sat beside me without asking me to stop working. He simply looked at me and quietly said that I seemed tired all the time. As Armand poured me a cup of warm tea, he asked, "What are you chasing?" It sounded like a simple question, but I couldn't answer it right away. After Armand went inside, I stayed alone on the porch, thinking about his question again and again. I wanted our family to feel more secure, yet I couldn't ignore how far that journey seemed to be taking me from them. That night, I closed my laptop earlier than usual, not because my work was finished. I simply couldn't stop asking myself, if I kept preparing for a better future, who was living today's life? The days looked normal, but each time I opened my laptop, I wondered what I was giving up for that time. When a well-paid project appeared, I counted the evenings it would take instead of the money it would bring. Watching Armand and Mira laugh together reminded me that some moments are worth more than income. I realized the project would grow our savings, but also take away nearly every weekend. That night, I drew 3 columns in a notebook: money, time, and energy. As I listed my work and side projects, I saw they earned different amounts of money, but drained very different amounts of energy. For the first time, I understood that not every gain could be measured by numbers alone. On a quiet Sunday, I sat beside Mira with my laptop closed, enjoying a slow morning together. She showed me a drawing of our family, and I smiled until I noticed one small detail. In her picture, I was holding a laptop because, to her, that's how she saw me most often. I hugged Mira, realizing my presence had become tied to a screen instead of shared moments. After she returned to coloring, I looked again at my notes about money, time, and energy. Seeing those 3 together made the trade-offs in my life much clearer than ever before. I realized I had focused on return on investment while forgetting the value of return on time and return on energy, the investments that truly let me be present with my family. That night, I looked at my closed laptop before opening my notebook with the 3 columns: money, time, and energy. As I reviewed each job, I began to see a pattern I had never noticed before. My main job still left room to enjoy time with Mira, but some side projects followed me home even after work ended. I realized that earning more money hadn't always made my life feel richer. Some projects paid well, but stole my rest, while others earned less and still left time for dinner with my family. At the bottom of the page, I wrote the real-life balance and a reminder that I read over and over. I finally understood that while I had been preparing for a better future, the life I wanted to enjoy was already happening today. The next evening, Arman and I shared tea on the porch, enjoying the quiet before I opened up. I admitted I had spent so much time chasing security that I had quietly lost my sense of peace. I showed him my notebook with 3 columns: money, time, and energy, realizing I had focused on only one of them. Arman gently reminded me that more money meant little if I was always exhausted. He smiled and said, "Mira remembered our time together far more than our income." We agreed we didn't need to stop learning or investing, only set healthier limits, so life wasn't spent preparing for the future. That night, we made no big promises, only a quiet commitment to value our presence as much as our income. The following week, I began closing my laptop every night at 8, choosing my family even when my work wasn't finished. At first it felt strange, but soon I was sitting on the floor playing with Mira instead of checking emails. We laughed together, and when Armin joined us, the house felt warmer than it had in a long time. A few days later, I turned down an extra job after realizing it would cost more than just my time. I continued learning about money and investing, but I no longer believed every free hour had to be productive. Little by little, I enjoyed simple moments, again tea with Arman, conversations with Mira, and evenings without a screen. One afternoon, Mira drew our family with all of us holding hands, and I quietly knew I was finally becoming more present. I finally realized that not everything that earns more money creates a better life, and sometimes the best choice is the one that leaves time to truly live. I still believe in saving, investing, and planning ahead, but I also believe a better future begins with living today well. When I look back, I hope to remember Mira's laughter, quiet dinners, and simple moments with Arman more than the assets we collected. If this story resonated with you, I'd love for you to continue the journey with us at Clara's Family Journal, where we grow through both wise financial choices and meaningful family moments. Before we part, I'd love to ask, have you ever felt burned out chasing extra income? And was it truly worth the time it took away from your family?